It's Thursday, May 28th, 2015. Welcome to the Alien Invasion, number 145. Is that the right number? Can somebody check? I'm paranoid that that's not the right number. Anyone?
Hang on.
Yes.
I'm looking on my podcast thing. It is 145?
Brad says yes.
I'm making stuff up.
Oh, yes, it is 145. Yes. All right. It's 145, a production of Galactic Netcasts. I'm Dave Nelson. Joining me, as always, Brad Ludwig, and Anessa's back!
Woo! Whoop, whoop.
Hey. We were talking before the show started of things that have changed since you left us to take your short sabbatical. We changed Craft Corner into Sightings, and we lost the entire soundboard. The soundboard, all of a sudden, everything disappeared one day, so I was going to play something off the soundboard to welcome you back, but it's all gone.
I got clapping. That's just as good.
Yeah. And, a virtual hug too, Anessa.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's hug it out. Well, welcome back, both of you guys, and welcome everybody else to the show where we talk about extraterrestrials in film, TV, video games, comic books, science, real life, wherever they may be. We talk about them. The show is divided into 3 sections. The news, the Sightings feature, and our picks for the week. If you want to watch us do the show live, we are streaming every week, and we've changed the day to Thursdays. So just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. We'll let you know when and where that's going to be, or just jump on to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Galactic Netcasts, or click on the live page on galacticnetcasts.com. So if you guys are ready, Just want to make sure.
I think so.
Hang on. Okay, I'm good.
You know what? I wasn't ready. I didn't have the soundboard up.
Aww.
I'm the one not being ready.
I even gave you a little pause there to get it ready.
No, it's ready. Here we go. Should I play one of the other ones, Brad?
Other ones?
Oh, you don't know about this. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the
old everything changed. I don't know anything anymore. Who am I? What is this?
Why am I here? What are we talking about? No, I'm going to play the old one, and then I'll play one of the other ones. So here we go.
In the news.
And then we have this one.
In the news.
All right, there we go. All right, the news. And this story is about a week late. We were supposed to, we didn't record last week, so this was more of a last week story, but I still thought I should at least mention it. The new trailer for Pixels is out. Pixel is also the name of our rabbit who lives upstairs, by the way.
Aww.
Peter Dinklage and Adam Sandler battle rogue video games in the latest trailer for Pixels, which I think looks stupid as hell. What do you guys think?
I'm not convinced.
It has Adam Sandler in it, which kind of brings it down a little bit.
Oh, wait a second. I thought you were going to say brings it up, but you're in the brings it down camp because he hasn't really been doing that well. I mean...
Yeah, but it has Peter Dinklage in it.
Yeah.
And he's been doing really well with the whole Game of Thrones thing, and apparently doing his own jam, and for Red Nose Day. But I don't know. It's one of those things that if it was on Netflix, I would watch it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be Netflix a lot sooner than we think, to tell you the truth.
So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I don't think I'd go and pay full price at the theater.
Okay, so...
Maybe as a Tuesday night movie where it's $5.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Does the theater in Wausau, do they do the, after it's been there for a few weeks, it lowers in price, or there's not that option, is there?
No.
I don't think so.
Right.
You get Tuesdays for $5.
Yeah.
That's about as low as it goes.
Okay, so there's quite a bit of new footage in this video, which digs deeper into the concept and shows off some of the new pieces. As the gang dukes it out with real-life video game icons, we get to see a bit more of the setup and government response, plus some longer shots of the unique pixelated graphic style that they are employing in this movie. And if you don't know the backstory, this movie came from a conceptual short, I think. Basically, the concept was, what if aliens made, like, for not First Contact, but what if aliens invaded, but were in the form of like 1980s and 1990s video game characters? And that's basically the premise for it. And did you guys see the short when it came out, when it was released a few years ago?
I don't recall
It's
seeing
not
the
ringing a
short.
bell, no.
It was really
Right.
good. It was really, really good. I was impressed at the time, but when I heard that they were going to make a full-length feature film out of it, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't. So, okay, so the story is, as kids in the 1980s, Sam, Will, Ludlow, and Eddie saved the world thousands of times at 25 cents a game in video arcades. Now they're going to have to do it for real. In Pixels, when intergalactic aliens discover video feeds of classic arcade games and misinterpret them as a declaration of war, they attack the Earth using the video games as the models for their assaults. And now U.S. President Cooper must call on his old-school arcade friends to save the world from being destroyed by Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, Centipede, and Space Invaders. That's the premise.
You know, I know a guy that used to hold, I think he used to hold the world record for highest score in Galaga or
Really?
something.
Nice.
Yeah, he used to play trivia at Cool Beans down in Denton, and they were doing maybe like a little documentary sort of thing, and he was going to try to break his record, but I don't think he succeeded. So,
Did you guys ever watch
random bit.
There was a documentary a few years ago about these old, like, 1980s video game players that were really good at the time, where they actually had competitions back in the day, and they brought them back together again for like a kind of a reunion sort of tournament thing. I thought that was kind of a cool deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to see how their playing skills have held up over the years.
Yeah. I think it would be just like anything.
Like
if you
riding
don't
a
do
bike.
it for a while,
yeah. Well,
you forget.
you just tend to, like, it might take a few rounds before
Yeah.
you start getting into the hang of things, because it was kind of like that with me and playing Super Mario World. Like, man, I used to be really awesome at that game. And then I played it for the first time a couple of years ago, and it took me a little bit before I got back into the swing of things, because, you know, I was dying in places that I normally wouldn't die.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anyway.
There was a couple of years ago, another story from me. Another couple of years ago, there was talk of a Asteroids movie based on the video game Asteroids.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it was more, and I think we maybe talked about it here on the Alien Invasion at the time when the story broke. And that seems like a better premise because it's an actual story. Like, they would be in space defending themselves against asteroids. This is just kind of a cobbled together story using all the old video game characters from the 80s. You know, it doesn't seem like it has very much of a structure to it, really.
No.
Well, I don't really see how asteroids could be made into a movie either, unless you've got these asteroids that turn out to be alien spacecraft attacking you, or planning like a global invasion or something.
Of course that would happen, Anessa. I mean, look, they made Battleship into a movie.
They did. And, you know, it was actually an entertaining movie. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but I didn't hate it.
No.
But yeah, I like what they did with the movie based off of a board game. And not make like 2 hours of two kids sitting around a board game going, "You sink my battleship." So I like what they did with, if people haven't seen it, it's kind of a spoiler, but at some point this battleship gets isolated from the rest of the world. They can't communicate outwards. They don't have access to the satellite data that they normally would. But luckily NOAA has all their buoys and sensors out in the ocean, and they're able to tap into that frequency and determine where these aliens are. And because it's a grid pattern, they do kind of give a nod to Battleship and say like, they're at B2 or something, and they start calling out letters and numbers and then firing away and hope that they hit. So I do like that, what they did with that.
Cool concept.
Yeah.
All right, so we'd love to hear your feedback, listeners. Are you excited about Pixels? Let us know. Email galacticnetcast@gmail.com. Okay, let's move on to the second story. Anessa, what do you got for us?
Ooh, it's my turn. So NASA Pluto probe may end up carrying crowdsourced message to aliens. NASA is considering allowing a team of researchers, teachers, artists, and engineers to upload an interstellar message to the agency's New Horizons spacecraft, which will perform the first ever flyby of Pluto on July 14th. This project is being led by John Lomberg, who was designer-director for the golden records that were placed aboard NASA's twin Voyager spacecraft before their 1977 launch, to teach any aliens that might encounter the probes about humanity and its home plane. Which, if you haven't seen the gold records, like images, I recommend you Google them. They're really interesting. Some of the images you can kind of figure out what they're trying to convey, and then there's others where you're just like, I wouldn't know what this meant if I saw it.
Yep.
Now,
So,
they played audio, right? Those golden records did?
Yeah, there
yeah,
was
they
a
had a
record
player.
Yep.
But I think on one side they had engravings and stuff like towards the center that talked about I think it's supposed to represent what humans look like, our position amongst, like, within our solar system and where the solar system was within the galaxy, maybe. How many planets I think were in the solar system, and a few other things I don't really remember. But just the way that they're portrayed is really interesting and really quite creative, because you don't know how these beings are going to, like, how they communicate, if they can even see, if they have sight to begin with, if how they communicate is through audio or visual or telepathy, or who knows. So
A lot of
I
unknown
just,
variables, definitely.
yeah, tons of variables, and they might just look like a bunch of squirrels or something. I don't know. I think the aliens would be cute if they look like squirrels. But anyway, so yeah, back to Pluto and New Horizons and messages going out into space. This time it's a more global and collaborative effort where people from around the world are contributing images, sounds, and ideas for this far-flung message in a bottle. Instead of the gold-plated discs aboard the two Voyager spacecrafts, this new effort will be digital, and if NASA gives the go-ahead, the project will be allowed to upload 150 megabytes of information to New Horizons. Excuse me. Both the message and its funding will be crowdsourced, with the Lomberg and his colleagues hoping to raise at least $500,000 from people around the world. You can learn more about the campaign at Fiat Physica, FIATPHYSICA.com/campaigns/OEM.
And we'll put
Mary.
the link in the show notes too. You don't have to remember that.
I mean, you could, and I would be quite impressed, because I'm going to read the next little chunk and totally forget what that link says. So, hey.
Do you want me to test you when you're done?
You could, but I'd probably fail if I weren't looking at the document. So, anyway, while the One Earth message, as it's called, is designed to be interpreted by aliens, it's a worthwhile exercise even if New Horizons zooms through space alone for all of its days, Lomberg said. The project, he stressed, has the potential to get people more excited about the New Horizons mission and space exploration in general, and possibly to bring people around the world together in a perspective-altering experience.
I'm sad thinking about that spacecraft just alone in space, never to be contacted by anybody ever again.
We have a tendency of doing stuff like that, though. It's like, hey, go to this planet where you will never, ever see Earth again. Have fun.
That's
Or, hey, go check out Mercury, and then you'll eventually, like, die. Or crash or whatever. We do that a lot with our probes.
That would be a really interesting concept for a film. Like, as soon as, like, do a HAL type deal, like a sentient machine of some kind on board one of these crafts, and their mission is to go to some far-flung planet, and they don't want to go through with it because they don't want to be alone in the galaxy.
Yeah. But then it could get turn into like a happy movie where they go to this planet and they end up finding alien life, but they don't report back to Earth because they don't want Earth to come and spoil the fun.
Or we could do the origin story of V'ger from the Star Trek.
So there you go. Ideas, all sorts of ideas.
This is interesting. The spacecraft is not like it's not designed straight up to have like a message on it. They're going to upload it as kind of a second thought. They never planned on doing it in the first place, right?
Well, the fact that they can upload data to New Horizons makes me think that someone may have had the forethought of, hey, maybe someday we will put a message on there, or at the very least, we may need to update information maybe about the trajectory, or they discover something new, last minute updates. So there's, that I think probably the main reason why they did that was to send updates and whatnot. But yeah, I think it might have just worked out really well that they can also upload data. But the other thing too is, I'm not sure, did they plan for a way for the data to be extracted from the probe? Or is there like a screen that would display this data, images that we've uploaded?
The story wasn't that clear. I don't remember that part, reading that part.
Yeah, because I would think that it would, otherwise what good is data going to do? Because what if their technology is different from our technology? And like, oh, hey, what does this mean? I don't know. It's a paperweight.
Yeah, I don't recall.
So I'm curious if there's maybe a monitor that's already on there just from when they were building it and setting it up and programming it. I'm sure there has to be some sort of display.
It's got like a motion sensor thing, so it like comes on automatically when it detects like the door being opened or something like that. Hi, welcome to our space probe.
Welcome to New Horizons.
We're from the planet Earth. Look on this map. The planet Earth orbits this star right here with 8 other stars. Wait a second.
And the poor alien just hears wah 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 wah. It's like Charlie Brown and the teacher. They're like, what is it saying? I don't understand.
It also reminds me of, I don't know if you guys are really Big Bang Theory watchers, but there's an episode where Sheldon's roommate, Johnny Galecki's character, steals their car, but Sheldon like put together a CD of like fun facts about the road trip, and these carjackers are like they're actually getting into it, like learning things. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. All right, cool. Great story, Inessa. Let's move on to the third and final, and it's Brad's.
That would be me. Excuse me. So, Cracked.com, not really always known for their top-notch, serious journalism, but they do take funny, views at certain topics. And one that came up was 6 reasons we're closer to discovering aliens than you think.
Only 6?
Yes, they have just 6.
They cover a wide variety of topics, and it's all. And you're right. They always take an interesting or funny angle at them. And the great thing about Crack too is anybody can submit a story.
So we're going to start at number 6, which is NASA just proved that life can begin in deep space conditions. Despite what the fungus growing on your bathroom wall seems to indicate, life just can't pop up anywhere. Deep space, for example, is so inhospitable that not even the most basic components of life could survive there. And I'm going to end it there because it gets a little bit more... I don't know how deep down the crassness hole we want to take this particular show, but we'll end that one there. There's going to be a link to the Cracked article in the show notes.
Yeah, get ready for some their take on, like, that's the one thing I don't like about Cracked articles, because I've had to take them before and like kind of extract the actual information. And there's a lot of like they try to be too funny sometimes.
Yeah. Number 5, turns out there are shitloads of habitable planets. Of course.
I
What's
know
that?
the story, but could have said something else. Now I have to go back. Look where we're at. Okay.
Wah.
Yeah. Why did
One
that suck?
curse word.
Well, welcome to me editing Adventure Party. Of course, you can create all the molecules you want to in space, but they won't do crap if they don't land on a planet where life can survive. And everyone knows Earth is the only one of those, right?
Okay.
Number 4, life on Earth started 1 billion years earlier than we thought. Of course, in order to host life, a planet doesn't just need to be the perfect place. It also has to be the perfect age. Remember, the Earth is 4 billion and change years old, but life only popped up halfway through that. Back then, the Earth was a steaming garbage heap with a toxic atmosphere whose only upside was not yet having any pit bull in it. Mr. Worldwide. All right.
Oh, correct.
Number 3. We found examples of life existing in extreme conditions right here on Earth.
Dum, dum.
Cinephiles.
Extreme.
Extreme.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Wait, what?
Evidence for extraterrestrial life can arguably be found here on Earth, where even the most extreme environments are home sweet home to a variety of species, ranging from the ugly to the holy. What is that thing? And they've got some interesting pictures of things that actually live on planet Earth that dwell in very dark, deep places in the ocean that can survive, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pressure put upon it, and yet still it lives. And creatures that lived near the volcanic vents down in the ocean as well.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying that because of that, there's the possibility for like life on Europa. In fact,
Sure.
NASA their next probe's gonna be to see if there is life on Europa. Like it's going to be going under the ice and like going through if there's liquid water on Europa, they're going to be diving through it.
Nice. Number 2, molds and lichens love space.
Who doesn't?
As we've gone over, life is harder than we thought, and certain organisms treat space being inhospitable more like a suggestion than a rule. Unfortunately, that includes the really gross crap. See, I'm trying to make your life easier, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. I can always tell when you're substituting another word for the B word.
Try to make it abundantly clear. Number 1, there's water all over the solar system. Dun, dun, dun. For a while, the cosmos seemed drier than current-day California. However, according to NASA and other reputable space agencies, the universe is actually a giant water park, and even our solar system is far wetter than anyone dreamed. For a quick primer, NASA has unveiled an infographic detailing the status of several potentially watering holes, each close enough to be meticulously and mercilessly probed by the cold fingers of technology. Even tiny distant Pluto has a potentially wet ecosystem with impressive geysers shooting from its scrotum-like folds.
Jesus, this is the worst written article I've ever heard or read.
Oh, you haven't trolled the internet enough, my friend.
Yeah, I try to avoid certain areas of the internet. I was going to say that they just realized or found out that there's more water on Enceladus than there is on the planet Earth. Like it's got a crap ton of water.
And there you go. So when we pollute all of ours in the future, then we can just head out there and scoop some up and bring it back, right?
Yep. Well, yeah, sure. let's try to
That
save,
won't be expensive.
no, let's try to save this planet first. Let's work on that first.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are aware, there's a TV show coming on called The Expanse, and it's pretty much, it takes place in our solar system in the not too distant future, and there's colonies and space stations, and there's like different factions. I read the first book, or I read most of the first book. Didn't make it all the way through, but it's a really interesting story, and I highly recommend that you guys watch it once it comes out. So,
Okey-doke.
all right, Brad, thank you very much.
Ooh, before we move on to the next section,
Yes.
I want to go back to Pluto and New Horizons. So I was
Okay.
curious about like this whole, how are people going to extract data from New Horizons if this becomes a thing? And I was reading their first goal, which they're trying to raise $500,000 for their first goal. And they said that they will develop the internet platform to crowdsource submissions from people of Earth in many languages. We'll develop new techniques to program a message designed to be recognized, decoded, and understood by beings in the far future. That seems to be as close as I can get to an answer. So if there are beings out there that discover this New Horizons spacecraft, then I guess they'll have to figure out a way to pull the data. But yeah, it doesn't really say beyond that, like how they're expected to get the data off, just that they're going to program it in a way that should be recognized and decoded and understood by future beings. So
USB.
Good luck.
yeah, and it's supposed to take like a very small corner of the memory chip that's currently on the spacecraft right now. So I don't know how well that's going to work. I think at least with the disc, they provided them with a way to play it.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it was pre-planned, and this one just seems kind of
kind of
half-assed.
last thought. Yeah. Like,
So, but yeah, I thought I would check it out, and then they have various stretch goals afterwards. But their main one is $500,000, and then they're also going, like, apparently they don't have permission from NASA yet. So that's the other thing too. So I don't know.
This is fraught with problems, because even on planet Earth we have competing operating systems, right, that don't communicate with each other. So what are the chances of our operating system working with their operating system, whoever they are?
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know how well this is going to work. I mean, I like the idea, but I don't think the execution is really going to work in their benefit. It's going to fall flat.
Okay.
I think.
Well,
anyway,
listener,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
It's a perfect opportunity for me to tell the listeners that if you have a thought on this, we would love to hear it. You can call our voicemail number. That is 805-328-3966. 805-328-3966. Let's move on to sightings.
Please identify the craft you witnessed.
Black, triangular, three-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering in it.
Shaped like almost like between an egg and like a teardrop.
Two long cylinder objects flying over me.
We had a zone. I could see the occupants in
It
it.
appeared to be rotating, and it was circular to disc shape, and it hovered for maybe about 5 minutes.
All right, so the sightings that we are going to focus on this week is the 1952 Washington, D.C. sightings. You guys ever heard about this incident back in 1952?
No,
I might have missed it.
Well, obviously you weren't around then, Anessa.
Smart aleck.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard of it. Not that I can recall.
It's surprising that this is not brought up more. Maybe I'm just running with the wrong crowd. Maybe it's brought up a lot in like UFO crowds. But okay, supposedly this incident took place on 2 different occasions, July 19th and 20th, 1952, and July 26th and 27th, 1952. The incident reportedly included a buzzing of the White House, Capitol building, and the Pentagon by UFOs. And it was actually confirmed by ground and airplane radar and visual reports from pilots sent to validate the objects. So the radar returns were seen at the Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base. Government officials were at a loss to account for what was happening over their own airspace. The blips traveled around 100 miles an hour for the most part, but was unbelievable. What was unbelievable was their ability to reach the astonishing speed of 7,200 miles an hour. That's fast. Yeah.
Crazy.
By the time our first missions were off the ground to investigate, the radar reports the UFOs were nowhere to be seen. But when our planes returned to the ground, the UFOs were back, as if taunting our defenses. For hours, U.S. planes chased the elusive targets, yet without success. Pilots could actually see the perplexing objects, but as they approached the lights, the UFOs vanished. On July 26th, when the objects came back, F-94s were sent to confront the invading fighters or flyers. Pilots saw the same frustration as the week before. As soon as they approached the UFOs, the lights of the pursued blacked out. The frustration of our pilots could be summed up in air-to-ground radio transmissions. They've surrounded my plane. What should I do? The Air Force official explanation was temperature inversion, of course. I love the government's checklist of possible explanations to rule out any kind of alien or UFOs.
Gas.
Swamp gas, temperature inversion,
Venus,
yeah.
Or Mercury.
Yeah. Okay, so this weather phenomenon can be illustrated by ground lights when they reach the clouds, give the illusion of lighted craft flying in the sky. Later, Project Blue Book said that the temperature inversion explanation was bogus, and the Washington D.C. sightings were labeled unexplained.
Bum bum bum.
Pretty crazy, eh?
Very crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the picture that I'm going to include with what happened? Oh, somebody added a app to their Hangout. Sorry.
Maybe.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
It was Brad. Soundboard. Okay. You want me to say a line so you can actually use it?
Yes.
Effectively.
Yes.
Okay. So later, Project Blue Book said the temperature inversion explanation was bogus. And the sightings were labeled unexplained. Oh, you don't have dun 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 there? Dun dun dun.
No.
Bum bum bum. There you go.
There, now we got it.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're
So,
welcome.
like I was saying, there's a great picture of the Capitol Dome and a bunch of white lights in the sky that are supposedly the craft that we're seeing over those 2 nights, and we'll put that in the show notes of the podcast. So, what do you guys think before we move on to picks? Do you think this is too legit to quit?
Wow. Yeah, I think it's too legit to quit, homie.
The
Is it okay if I quit anyway?
90s are calling. They want their vernacular back.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy story. I mean, you've got this craft or whatever that's able to reach incredible speeds, and you've got noises and whatnot, and lights. I don't know that it would be a temperature inversion. I'm not familiar with temperature inversions.
Multiple witnesses too, not just one pilot, but squadrons of planes seeing the same thing, and people on the ground, and there's radar images, and there's actual physical reports of this, It's hard not to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have that many witnesses, I could see. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm reading about temperature inversion, and it just, it can cause an increase in temperature with height or to the inversion layer within which such an increase occurs. And inversion can lead to pollution such as smog being trapped close to the ground with possible adverse effects on health. And inversion can also suppress convection by acting as a cap. If the cap is broken for any of several reasons, convection of any moisture present can then erupt into violent thunderstorms. Temperature inversion can notoriously result in freezing rain in cold climates. So, I mean, I guess if you wanted to try to chalk it up to a thunderstorm caused by a temperature inversion, then you could try to explain the lights and noises and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
you would think that, they could check NOAA and see what their data says.
Yeah. Well, Project Blue Book, they certified it unexplained, and I'm sure they did their due diligence, their research. So, I'm gonna give this one to Project Blue Book, personally.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to move on?
Legit, yo.
Too legit to quit.
No, it's legit to quit because it's time to do our picks. These are things that we've watched, listened to, read, played, taken into our senses in one way or another, and they all have to do with aliens of some kind, and it looks like Brad is first on the agenda.
What? I am.
Yeah.
I watched a short film called Retrograde.
It's not the really bad 1980s Dolph Lundgren movie, is it?
No. I avoided that one. No, this is a short, I believe it's approximately 8 or 9 minutes long. Hang on. It's 11 minutes and 2 seconds long. I apologize. It's a stop motion film, and it is done with drawings, and they are like cut out pieces of paper with like the faces and the mouths are moving. So it's very, very interesting in its style. I kind of think of it as like Rob Schraub's work, but not quite as whimsical as Rob Schraub's art can be.
Who's Rob Schraub?
He created Scud, the Disposable Assassin, and he's directed and worked with Sarah Silverman. He's worked on I believe that he's one of the co-writers of Monster House, which was a 3D animated major motion picture. He's going to be working on something else too. So he's kind of a deal with a certain crowd of geeks. And in this particular short film, it takes place in the future, and there is a satellite that takes place on a satellite that's orbiting Uranus, and it is evacuated as a large meteor is set to destroy a colony on Uranus, as to which the satellite kind of orbits, and it's a kind of a way station, a stopping point, it seems to be, between space and Uranus. I
feel like I need to get my anus checked with all these probes and stuff.
Perhaps.
Colonies. What's going on back there?
There is a colony on Uranus in this particular film. So,
okay.
There is with this meteor, there is a call for an evacuation, and the folks start evacuating the satellite and evacuating to Uranus. And as all of the emergency crafts leave, there are two beings that are left on the satellite, and they have some hard choices to make because the satellite is put in the way of the colony on Uranus to save it from the meteor strike. And it turns out that these two beings have a recent history, and one of them may hold a grudge against the other one. And we're kind of left to wonder how this whole story is going to play out. It's like I said, it's an 11-minute, 2-second short film. Well worth the watch. And the link to it, it's on Vimeo. And it's called Retrograde. And we'll have a link to it in the show notes. Well worth the time to watch.
All right. Yeah, there's some great stuff on Vimeo, especially short films and the like. Whenever I'm struggling for a pick, I usually go to either Vimeo or YouTube for short films.
Yeah, there's so many out there that people do, good and bad.
Mhm.
It's just sometimes fun to go and just start watching. Click, 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 click.
It doesn't take long for you to figure out that it's good or bad. I've backed out of quite a few in my time. Nope.
If it's short enough, I'll sit through it. If it's like, 3 minutes, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. But if it's like 10 and I'm 2 minutes in, I'm like, oh man, no, I can't do it. So
I'm very excited to hear about your thoughts on Childhood's End, Anessa, because of course it's being put in or made into a miniseries on Sci-Fi that's going to air in December. So tell us about it.
All right. Well, as Dave says, my pick is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It's not a long read or listen if you're listening to it on the audiobooks of Audible. I think it's around 5.5 hours, maybe. I don't remember. So anyway, the description that's on Goodreads, I'll read it for people who are curious. It says, without warning, giant silver ships from deep space appear in the skies above every major city on Earth. Manned by the overlords. In 50 years, they eliminate ignorance, disease, and poverty. Then this golden age ends, and then the age of mankind begins. I haven't really read much from Arthur C. Clarke. This is probably the second thing that I've read from him, the first one being a short story. And the short story is, I don't remember if it's like 9 billion names of God. And reading this one, I can tell it's the same guy that's written it, because I'm kind of noticing a pattern here towards the end. But I enjoyed the book. Essentially, you've got, as the synopsis says, you have these large spacecraft that appear above all the major cities in the world. And you have what the humans have decided to call as the overlords. And these overlords basically eliminate poverty, violence, unnecessary violence, I guess, crime, all that sort of thing. And mankind ends up reaching this point where they've actually prospered. Anyone who decides to commit a crime, the overlords will know. It's kind of like the all-knowing. You have, I guess you can kind of think of them as like godlike beings, because they see what's going on and they punish those who commit awful crimes. But the humans have this issue with them in that they've never seen what the overlords actually look like. None of the overlords have presented themselves to the human race. And there's only one human that's ever communicated with these overlords. And if I recall, I believe the name of the human is Stormgren. And he goes up in a shuttle to the ship, and he's in this room. And there's this big, what looks to him, or he thinks of as a screen or a monitor, which may be a double-sided glass, so he can't see through to what the overlords look like. But anyway, he communicates with the overlord, and the one that he communicates with is named Corellin. And he always brings up, hey, like, people are kind of restless about this. They really want to know what you look like. And eventually, Corellin is like, well, here's the deal. I will let the humans see what the overlords look like in 50 years. And the reason for that, which doesn't really spoil anything for the book.
Can I
Uh-huh.
think, I have an idea why.
Okay.
Aliens, these particular race of aliens, have a really bad acne problem. So he's just waiting for his acne to clear up.
That's really bad if it's going to take 50 years.
No?
But no, like the reason is because he wants the older generation to essentially die, move on, old age, they're gone. And the younger generations that end up growing up have already grown up with the overlords around, even if it's just, their spaceships flying overhead. And they think that by giving the human race this 50-year timeline, that once they finally do present themselves to the humans, they'll be more accepting of their appearance. They would be more open-minded. There would be less like horror stories and whatnot from back in the day. And the bulk of the book is basically you end up waiting the 50 years to find out what the overlords look like. You find out what the overlords look like. And then the rest is trying to figure out like why they are there, as a reader especially. And so you end up finding little hints and clues here and there as you progress. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the read. If people have read the 9 Billion Names of God, like I said, I kind of noticed a pattern there with the second half of the book. Just the general way that it tends to go, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and I'm curious to see how they're going to do it as a miniseries. And I think it would actually work as a miniseries because the book progresses over several year chunks. So you kind of fast forward like 10 years later or however long later to the next bit. So this ends up taking place, I think, over the course of like 100 or 150 years. Maybe. I think it's around 100 years.
I'm thinking that the miniseries probably won't go over that much time. They'll probably condense or
well, like I said, it's a short book, and they could really pull it off because you'll have the first characters, the main characters and stuff like towards the beginning, and then it jumps to like way later to where those first characters are gone, and then you have new characters, and then it jumps ahead in the timeline. So it spends short portions of time, or like short portions of the book on a particular time period before moving on to like, oh well, now it's been 6 years or it's been 10 years or however long. And I think they can make it work if they kind of maybe do the main bit, the first chunk, maybe like the first 50 years for like the first episode, and then kind of split it maybe by decades or every 20 years or something, however they want to do that for the remaining 50 years. But yeah, I think they could make it work as a miniseries the way it's written.
And if you want to see the trailer for the sci-fi miniseries for Childhood's End, it's posted on our website. Just click on Watch and then click on Videos. We put up the cool trailers that kind of pop up that we think you guys would be interested in. So galacticnetcasts.com is where you can see that now. Well, you can wait till you're done listening to the podcast and then go there. Or pause us, go there, and come back and continue. It's your choice.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Anessa. That's a great pick. I was really curious as to if that would ever come up as a pick. And knowing you, I kind of figured that it would.
Well, I started it a long time ago. Well, a long time ago, probably a couple months ago. And just within the past few days, I finally got around to finishing it. Just because it seemed like I always got distracted. Like I'd start listening and then like, oh, I got to go do this, or I need to do something else that causes a lot of noise that I can't hear anything. Because I ended up listening to it as an Audible book. It was my Black Friday purchase from last November. It was, I don't know, like $2 or $3, and I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to check out this book. I'll just get it as an audiobook and try it out. So.
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, so wrapping up our picks. I'm not saying it was aliens.
It was aliens.
It was aliens, yeah. So my pick is an episode of Ancient Aliens, Season 6, Episode 16. I'm sure that we have had Ancient Aliens as our pick here on the Alien Invasion before.
Probably.
But I think it's been a while, so enough time has passed since which means it's okay again to bring them back on the show. And the episode that I watched and is my pick is the one talking about the Tesla experiment. Originally air date August 1st, 2014, and it's all about Tesla and his possible involvement with aliens. And if you're at all familiar with Ancient Aliens, you know how the show goes. They take a possible theory and blow it up and find every little piece of possible alien connection that they can. And with this episode, that was no different. So they talk about if you're not familiar with Tesla, just watch this episode. So I didn't know much. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't know much about Tesla. I know that people revere him as being the true originator over Edison. There was the whole Edison-Tesla competition back and forth. And people say that he made all these great discoveries, and a lot of them never saw the light of day or never were successful because they were ahead of their time. And they mention a few of those on this episode. So the show suggests the idea that space aliens were able to project blueprints and scientific plans into Tesla's brain, and that he was merely reusing alien plans first used in Egypt. So the premise is, I guess, Tesla was very interested in listening to radio waves picking up, like he had a big tower, like a big reception tower, big antenna, and he was picking up signals from space, basically, from Mars. He said they're coming from, and eventually the theorists came up with this idea that maybe he was communicating with aliens, and they were transmitting blueprints into his head, which I don't know if true or not. This episode discusses Tesla's claim to have received radio signals, like I said, which Tesla speculated might have been from extraterrestrials on Mars or Venus. Here he was likely building on the then popular claim of Percival Lowell that Mars had advanced civilization. So at that time, people thought that they saw those like what they thought were roads on Mars, so they kind of put two and two together and jumped to conclusions thinking that maybe there was this advanced civilization on the planet Mars. So he was thinking that he was getting these signals from Mars.
Yeah, because Percival Lowell ended up writing, I think, a book called Canals.
Yeah.
It's French. That was about these canals and what he theorized, the civilizations that were on Mars and whatnot. So, no, he was really an interesting dude. And, of course, there's the Lowell Observatory out in Arizona, so by Flagstaff.
I think everybody knows that name somehow, has heard it at least. This episode is interesting, not because of the whole alien connection. I thought it was more interesting to learn about Tesla's life and the things that he invented, and like he was involved with the possible time travel of that ship. What was that?
The Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, Philadelphia experiment. That he was involved in that with other scientists at the time, like Einstein, and he also came up with a quote-unquote flying machine. And this was not in the episode. I kind of did some research afterwards that resembled a flying, like a UFO. It was ion-propelled. Tesla claimed that one of his life goals was to create a flying machine that would run without the use of an airplane engine, wings, or propellers, or onboard fuel source. Initially, Tesla pondered about the idea of flying a flying craft that would fly using an electric motor powered by grounded base stations. As time progressed, Tesla suggested that perhaps such an aircraft could be run entirely electromechanically. The theorized appearance would typically take the form of a cigar or saucer-shaped craft. So very much like the traditional UFO that people claim to have seen.
Have you seen Tomorrowland?
No, I have not. But I know that he's involved in it.
Yes. Yes. And it's fantastic.
You know, that's too bad because it didn't do well at the box office the first weekend. And I hate when that happens, when a really good movie doesn't perform very well.
Yeah, it's definitely a feel-good, try to reinstill the faith in humanity kind of film. I mean, at the core, and that's what Tomorrowland was about as a Disney attraction. So, yeah, and yeah, Tesla's involved, and it's wonderful. That portion came up in the film, and I was like, oh, that's freaking amazing! Yeah,
like Tesla and a whole bunch of other like luminaries of the time.
Yep, Tesla, Edison. Oh crap! I can't remember the other scientists.
I don't remember.
Wasn't there other non-scientists too, like Twain or something like that? Maybe not Mark Twain.
Jules Verne, maybe?
Yeah, Jules Verne. That's right. Gosh, something in my head is saying De Gaulle was a part of it, but maybe not.
Maybe, possibly. Who knows?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess Gustav Eiffel, because he did the Eiffel Tower. Wasn't he one of the ones? Maybe.
Sounds like.
I think it was Tesla, Edison, Jules Verne, and Gustav Eiffel.
Okay, we'll see. Waiting for the results.
There you go. Did you find it on the intertubes?
On the intertubes? No.
I wasn't looking.
No, I wasn't. I thought it said found it on the interwebs.
I will look.
Okay. I was looking too.
The Oatmeal says, is Disney making a movie about Nikola Tesla? And I'll type in Verne.
Okay.
Yeah, he has Tesla, Gustav Eiffel, Thomas Edison, and Jules Verne.
Okay.
Boom. There it is.
So
you give 2 thumbs up to Tomorrowland. You recommend that people go see it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good, optimistic movie.
All right. Okay, so a little bonus pick right there. Thank you, guys. And we'll have the links to all of our picks on the show notes with the podcast. Before we get out of here, feedback, and this is via YouTube on our last episode with Gary True, or from Gary True. We don't have guests on this podcast, sorry. And it's actually, this is our last episode. And Gary True wrote, "Look, Dave, you need to find a place. Somewhere in your house or whatever, you can get your background and get your background spooky. You need to revamp your background. You look like you're podcasting from a bathroom. How can I take you seriously with this stuff? Get weird, Dave. Now I love all the stuff you guys do. Rock on." Later on, he made another comment later on saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound like I was being stupid." No, I never thought that, Gary. I appreciate it. And I know I'm aware of my background, and if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can see the background, and it does look like I am podcasting from a bathroom. I'm actually in my basement, and this is an enclosure that I made, and this is like a thing. I'm kind of pointing behind me. This is a thing that you put on your bed to make it more comfortable. That's really, really good soundproofing, because I do voice work too. And this is Christmas lights. I've got a mirror over here, and there's a extension cord hanging from the ceiling. I know the condition of my background, Gary. But, yeah, appreciate the feedback. It's always good to hear from you guys no matter what you're saying. And
maybe you could paint the egg crates.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, someday. Someday I'll...
Like a UFO or something, little alien head.
Yeah. Give me a great idea. Like a mural of some kind.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so feedback, you can go to our website, galacticnetcasts.com, and click on the little tab on the right-hand side, and a little thing will pop up in that, and you can click on another thing or two, and you can actually leave a recorded message through our website, and it's actually easier if you go through like a mobile browser because you don't have to like install anything, I don't think. Maybe with iOS you do. Anyways, just go.
YouTube?
What's that?
With YouTube?
No. On our website, galacticnetcast.com,
Oh, okay.
thing where you can click on and actually leave a recorded message through your computer or through your smartphone or whatever device you're getting there on. So
I don't think you need to.
no.
At least it just has like the pop-up on the side with a little microphone going, "Hey, leave a voicemail."
Yeah.
I haven't actually clicked it, so.
So let's do it live.
All right, I'll give me a second.
While you're doing that, final announcements. You can find the alien invasion on our website, galacticnetcast.com. If you want to see my crappy background, go to youtube.com/galacticnetcasts. Search for us on iTunes, Stitcher as well. And if you listen to us on either of those platforms, please leave us a 5. Do they do 5 stars on Stitcher, or is that just iTunes? I know they do feedback. You can leave a comment on Stitcher.
You can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down on Stitcher.
Okay, so give us a thumbs up, please. And that's how you doing, Vanessa?
Okay, so apparently on iOS you do need to download an app.
Yeah,
called the Launch Speak Pipe.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Speak Pipe.
I've got it right here. Do you want to leave a message for yourself?
Oh,
it's free. It's a free app.
This is weird. Okay, so tell me when you're going to click it, and
I'll go now.
Okay, hi, Dave. It's Dave. You got a great website there and great podcast. Thanks for all the great work that you do, and Brad and Nessa and everybody else on Galactic Netcast. Bye.
It's like Inception. It's Dave talking to Dave.
Now watch it.
Did it record?
It may have just popped up. Nope.
Oh, it's processing the audio now, and no sound was recorded. Boo!
Okay, all right. We gave it a try. Anyways, you can do that. You can leave us feedback through the website. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or just go to the website. There's a subscription page on there as well. So, final thoughts, guys. Brad, you are first, sir.
I'm first?
Yes.
Dang it. Go see Tomorrowland. You're going to see some amazing science, and no, it does not involve aliens, but it involves a lot of awesome sci-fi and George Clooney, and it's a fun romp that you can take the kids to.
All right, and it's an optimistic view of the future.
There's pessimism, but optimism wins the day.
Yeah, we need more of that. All right, Vanessa, what's your final thought?
Actually, I'm thinking of doing a walk in September for the Alzheimer's and walk to end Alzheimer's.
Oh, cool.
And I haven't created a team yet, but if people have any clever name suggestions, maybe not offensive or potentially offensive to people, well, I enjoy them, and my dad would probably find them humorous, like, "Where am I?" or "Why are these people following me?" Other people might not appreciate the humor, so.
Well, what you could do is come up with a funny name, and that could be like the inside joke name, and just like have the letters.
Yeah.
Have the initials of the name.
The initials of the name, yeah. So that might be an idea. But if people have ideas, suggestions, feel free to send them my way, and eventually I'll be asking for people to maybe donate a couple of bucks. So to the cause.
We should put something on the website too. That's it.
Yeah, once I actually get everything squared away, then I'll pass along information if you want to post it.
All right.
So.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Sweet.
Okay, so that's going to do it for this edition of the Alien Invasion, a presentation of Galactic Netcasts. And thanks for joining us. We will talk to you guys next time.
Woohoo!
Bye, Dad.
Ciao.
Bye.